We're waiting on that transfer. My mother's voicemail was short, cold, and direct. No greeting, no concern, just another demand. I stared at my phone. 23 missed calls, 38 unread messages, the same cycle, month after month, requests, expectations disguised as obligations. I used to send the money right away before the guilt could sink in, but this time, I didn't. The messages kept coming. Mom, the mortgage is due. Sarah, my sister. Hey, the kids need new shoes. $200? Eric, my brother. Sis, short on rent this month. Just $500. Can you help this time? Just $500. Can you help? I exhaled. Here we go again. The endless demands. The entitlement. The assumption that I'd always come through. I knew what was coming next. Anger, manipulation, guilt trips. But this time, I stayed silent. Until I couldn't anymore. Then my phone dinged. Subject: Oh God, Rachel, did you see this? It was a message from my cousin, Melissa. A video attachment. I tapped on it. My mother's living room appeared on the screen, the Christmas tree glowing in the corner, laughter filling the room. Then my brother's slurred voice. The whole family chimed in, their laughter blending together, their amused remarks echoing through the video. Their words hit me like a punch to the gut, snapping me back to reality. I turned off my phone. My hands were shaking. Was it time to finally put an end to this? Friends, before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more gripping Reddit family stories. Your support helps the channel grow and brings you even more engaging content. Now, let's get back to the story. The screen lit up with a familiar sight, my mother's living room. The Christmas tree twinkled, decorated with the same ornaments from my childhood. For a brief moment, a sense of nostalgia washed over me. Then, laughter echoed from off-screen, breaking the illusion. Eric's voice came first loud, slightly slurred. Good thing Rachel isn't here this year, we can actually relax. I froze. She's always so serious, Sarah added, acting like she's above us just because of her fancy job. She does make good money, though, right? Laughter followed lighthearted, careless, thoughtless. Then my mother, the same voice that once sang me lullabies. Well, that fancy job is paying for this Christmas dinner, so I suppose I can deal with her attitude. Another wave of laughter. Not one person objected. Not one person spoke up for me. The camera panned, revealing my entire family. My parents, my siblings, their spouses relaxed, smiling, nodding in agreement. The funny thing is, Eric continued, she actually thinks we care about her job. Like any of us are interested in marketing strategies or whatever it is she does. More laughter. Then my father, smirking, raised his glass. But we do care about her paycheck. They all lifted their drinks. To Rachel, our personal ATM, I hadn't realized I was holding my breath. My throat tightened, my hands trembled so badly I nearly dropped my phone. The screen went black. Then, a notification popped up. Melissa, OMG. I'm so sorry, I meant to send this to my therapist to show her what I've been dealing with in this family. I didn't mean for you to see it. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I just sat there, gripping my phone, feeling the weight of something I couldn't yet put into words. 3 years. 3 years of supporting them. 3 years of setting my own needs aside. 3 years of believing we were a family. And to them, I was never truly a daughter, never truly a sister. I was just an ATM. I stared at my phone, my mind completely blank. My fingers hovered over the screen, ready to call Melissa, ready to demand an explanation, something, anything, but I didn't. I couldn't. What was there to say? The video had already said it all. My own family, the people I had sacrificed so much for, laughing, drinking, toasting to the fact that I was nothing more than a bank account to them. I felt my stomach churn violently. The world around me blurred as my body went cold. 3 years. 3 whole years of giving, of putting them first, of cutting back on my own life just to make sure they were okay. I had told myself it was temporary, just until Dad got back on his feet, just until Eric found a steady job, just until Sarah and her husband figured things out. But 3 years had passed, and nothing had changed, except me. I had less savings, more stress, and a constant, suffocating guilt every time I even thought about saying no. And for what? So they could sit around laughing about how easy it was to take my money? I had paid the mortgage, so my parents wouldn't lose their house after Dad lost his job. I had covered my nieces' and nephews' school tuition, so they wouldn't have to switch districts. I had sent Eric money for rent every single month while he was between jobs, which in reality just meant he wasn't even looking. And now I knew the truth. They had never been grateful. Never once had they truly appreciated what I did for them. A bitter taste rose in my throat. I pushed away from my desk and stumbled toward the bathroom, my legs barely supporting me. The second I made it to a stall, I collapsed onto my knees and threw up. My body rejected everything, my lunch, my morning coffee, every ounce of trust I had left for my family. I stayed there for what felt like forever, arms wrapped around myself, my entire body trembling. My mind replayed the video over and over, the laughter ringing in my ears, my father's smirk as he lifted his glass. To Rachel, our personal ATM. I squeezed my eyes shut, gripping the sides of the toilet to steady myself. I couldn't cry. I wouldn't cry. They weren't worth my tears. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the overwhelming truth that settled in my chest like a stone. I had never been part of a family. I had been a transaction. The drive home was a blur, my vision clouded with tears as I pulled over twice just to breathe. My hands gripped the wheel, my mind racing with everything I had just seen. They never cared. Not about me, just my money. I parked and stared at my phone buzzing nonstop. Mom, Eric, Sarah, Mom again. Voicemails, messages, all demanding the same thing. Rachel, where's the transfer? Rachel, don't be selfish. But for the first time, I didn't answer. I walked into my tiny apartment, exhausted, and reached for my laptop. Mom and Dad, $1,200 month. Eric, $800. Sarah, $500. Emergencies, extra requests. I totaled it, $95,000. $95,000, while I lived in a cramped apartment, ate instant ramen, and put my master's degree on hold because I couldn't afford it. I worked 60-hour weeks while Eric partied. I skipped vacations while my parents remodeled their kitchen. I turned down nights out while Sarah's kids wore brand new sneakers bought with my money. My chest tightened. Then I did something I had never done before. I canceled every automatic transfer. My hand hovered over the confirmation button. My brain screamed to undo it, to remember that family takes care of each other. Then their laughter echoed in my mind. To Rachel, our personal ATM. I clicked confirm. A deep breath. A weight lifted. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of wine, and whispered the words I never thought I'd say. The ATM is closed. Morning came, and so did the storm. My phone buzzed non-stop. Mom, Eric, Sarah, Mom again. The messages piled up, each one more urgent than the last. Rachel, the money hasn't come through yet. Did you forget? Hey, I need $300 for rent. Can you send it today? Rachel, your father needs his medication. What's taking so long? You always send it ahead of time. Not a single message asked if I was okay. Not even ask how are you, or is something wrong, just demands. Reminders that they expected me to pay, as if it were my obligation. I gripped my phone, staring at the screen, my stomach twisting. For years, I had trained myself to put their needs above my own. A phone call, I answered? A request? I sent money? A guilt trip? I told myself, this is just what family does. I convinced myself that if I gave a little more, maybe, just maybe, one day they would appreciate me. That one day they would see me as more than just an ATM. But now I knew the truth. I took a deep breath and opened my banking app. Mom and Dad, $200 month. Eric, $800 month. Sarah, $500 month. Miscellaneous expenses, a long list of transactions, all taken from me. My finger hovered over the cancellation button. If I do this, there's no turning back. I closed my eyes and their laughter echoed in my head. To Rachel, our personal ATM. My jaw clenched. I tapped cancel. One transaction disappeared. Then another. Then all of them. The weight that had crushed me for 3 years suddenly felt lighter. I exhaled, feeling my pulse slow. A strange, unfamiliar relief washed over me. I picked up my phone and typed the message that would change everything. No transfer this month. I need to focus on my own finances. I hit send. Seconds later, my phone vibrated. Mom. I let it ring. Another buzz. Sarah. Then Eric. Then Mom again. Voicemails popped up, then more texts. Rachel, this isn't funny. You know Dad needs his medication. Why you keep silent? I guess you don't care if your family ends up homeless. Selfish. After everything we've done for you? I flipped my phone face down and exhaled. The storm was only beginning. But this time, I wasn't afraid of it. I took a slow, steady sip of my coffee, letting the warmth settle inside me. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of someone else's needs. I was finally living for myself. At first, the guilt was unbearable. I kept reaching for my phone, half expecting another barrage of messages, another call filled with disappointment or anger. I had spent years wiring money without hesitation, conditioned to believe that saying no was the same as turning my back on my family. Had I really done the right thing? Was I being selfish? Then the video came back to me. The laughter, the raised glasses, the careless way they spoke about me. Not as a daughter, not as a sister, just a paycheck. The sting of betrayal cut deeper than any guilt I felt. They weren't grieving my absence, they were mourning the loss of my money. I closed my eyes and let the truth settle in. I had given them everything for 3 years. Not once had they asked how I was doing. Not once had they cared if I was struggling. The only time they noticed me was when the money stopped flowing. And that realization didn't break me, it set me free. For the first time in years, I felt something I couldn't quite name at first: relief. I didn't owe them my financial security. I didn't owe them my future. What I owed was something I had ignored for too long: myself. So I started making changes. Small, quiet acts of rebellion against the life I had trapped myself in. I signed up for a yoga class, rediscovering the simple joy of movement, of breathing, of feeling connected to my own body instead of constantly carrying everyone else's burdens. I reached out to old friends, the ones I had drifted from because I was always too busy working to fund my family's endless needs. Some relationships had faded, but others welcomed me back like I had never left. And then, the biggest step of all, I pulled up the graduate program I had once dreamed of enrolling in and started researching applications again. For 3 years, my life had been on pause, but now I was finally pressing play. 3 months passed in silence, until the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I looked through the peephole, my stomach tightened. It was Eric, my brother. I paused at the door, hesitating. The moment I opened it, he brushed past me into the apartment, without waiting for an invitation. Seriously, Rachel? You changed your number? Mom's been worried sick. No, how have you been? No, are you doing okay? Not even a simple, it's good to see you. He was here for one reason only: money. Crossing my arms, I leaned against the doorway. Are you here because you actually care about me or because you need something? Eric scoffed, looking down, hand nervously rubbing the back of his neck. Listen, my landlord just handed me an eviction notice. I just need a little help to get through this month. I took a slow, steady breath, gathering my strength. Have you even stopped once to wonder why I stopped helping? His expression hardened. I can't believe you just cut off your own family. Who even does that? I met his gaze without flinching. I didn't cut off my family, but the ATM is closed. Silence filled the room. His jaw clenched tightly, frustration etched deep into his features. So, that's it? He muttered bitterly. I nodded slowly, firmly. Not because I can't help, but because I choose not to. For the first time in my life, I chose myself, and I didn't regret it.